I took a week off work to renovate my parents' kitchen. My gift to them. On the last day, I heard my dad say, "He's just doing this to feel useful. Poor guy doesn't realize we all pity him." My mom laughed. "Let him waste his time." I finished grouting the tiles, wiped my hands, and left without a word. This morning, 22 missed calls. "Please come back. We were just joking." I got to their place early, too early for retirees, apparently. Dad was still in his robe, newspaper under one arm, the other wrist deep in peanut butter trying to bait the squirrel trap he swore was just for fun. "Someone's eager," he said when he saw me lugging in tile samples, and a miter saw like it was Christmas morning. "Someone's turning 72 in 10 days, I replied, kicking off my boots at the door. The plan was simple. A 1-week vacation turned kitchen surprise. I'd been saving up PTO for months and using my evenings to sketch layouts, price fixtures, and pull strings with a buddy at the home improvement store. I wanted to give them a space that felt fresh, something they could be proud of when they hosted their weekly poker night or when Aunt Clara dropped by unannounced just to critique the lighting. It wasn't just about cabinets and counters. It was my way of saying thank you, for helping with my student loans when I tanked freshman year, for picking me up from the ER after I sliced open my thumb learning to cook, for pretending not to notice when I moved back home for 8 depressing months after the divorce. They never said much about that time. Just made room in the garage for my boxes and always left a plate in the fridge with my name on a sticky note. So, when the contractor we'd hired last year bailed mid-project, leaving the kitchen half-ripped and fully unusable, I told them I had a surprise and to stay out of the kitchen for a week. They rolled their eyes but played along. Mom moved her Keurig into the laundry room like it was a war camp. I worked like a machine, ripped out the broken linoleum, laid the subfloor, tiled it one painstaking square at a time, painted the cabinets, installed the backsplash myself even though it meant crouching until my knees screamed. I didn't complain. Not once. Even when Mom made offhand comments like, "You know, that contractor said this would take professionals 2 weeks," or when Dad would wander in and say, "Is that how they taught you in your little night class?" Still, I kept going, because I thought I needed to believe they appreciated it. On the last day, I finished grouting the tiles. My hands were raw, fingers swollen from a week of manual labor. I was sitting on the edge of the counter, drinking a warm bottle of Gatorade, waiting for the grout to set so I could wipe it clean and reveal the final mosaic. This beautiful blue and gray chevron pattern I picked to match the sea glass lamp in the hallway. They were outside on the patio. I don't think they knew I could hear them through the open screen window. "Dad. He's just doing this to feel useful. Poor guy doesn't realize we all pity him." Mom laughed. Actually laughed. "Let him waste his time," she said. "Cheaper than therapy, I guess." There was more. Something about how I never quite bounced back from the divorce. How I was always trying to earn points, or prove I was worth something. I didn't hear all of it. My ears were ringing. I wiped the grout, one last slow pass over the tiles. Cleaned my tools, lined everything up like I just finished a job site. Put the new hand towels on the rack, adjusted the light fixture I installed the night before, and left the receipt folder on the counter labeled warranty info. Then I walked out the front door, got in my car, and drove. No note, no confrontation, no goodbye. That was 2 days ago. This morning, I woke up to 22 missed calls, a dozen texts, one voicemail that started with, "Hey honey, we were just joking. You didn't actually leave, did you?" They must have finally walked into the kitchen. The one I built for them, with my own hands. Edit. Yes, I'm safe. No, I haven't answered any of their calls. Not yet. I'm staying at a friend's guest house for now. He saw my face when I showed up on his porch with a duffel bag and didn't ask questions. Just handed me a beer and pointed to the spare key hook. I don't know what to say to them, or if I ever will. But I know one thing. I wasn't trying to feel useful. I was useful. They just didn't deserve it. Date 1. I didn't respond. Not to the calls. Not to the texts. Not even to the voicemail where my dad's voice cracked like he was suddenly 40 years older and realizing for the first time that words don't vanish just because you regret them. They said they were joking. Said I took it the wrong way. Said I was being too sensitive. Too sensitive. That phrase landed harder than any hammer I used last week. Let me be clear. This wasn't the first time they dismissed me. Not even close. This was just the first time I listened. I stayed silent for 48 hours. Not out of spite, but because I knew if I spoke too soon, I'd be the one apologizing. Again. I'm sorry I took offense. I'm sorry I overreacted. I'm sorry your words made me feel like garbage in my own skin. I've done that song and dance before. I'm done. Yesterday morning, I drove back to the house. Not to make peace, don't worry. Just to pick up my tools. Over $3,000 worth of gear, including a laser level I'd borrowed from my friend Ravi. Not something I could leave behind, even for the sake of pride. They weren't home. Good. But the kitchen? Oh, the kitchen was pristine. Shiny new fixtures. Glossy tiles that hadn't even settled into their grout lines yet. My work. My week. My blood in that backsplash. And taped to the fridge was a note. Not from them. From my mother's sister, Aunt Joy. Looks amazing, sweetheart. They don't deserve this. Love you. And that was it. The first and only person in that house who'd ever told me the truth. Back in my apartment, I did something I haven't done in years. I opened the old folder on my laptop. Moments they forgot. Yeah, I kept one. Because if you grow up being treated like a burden in your own family, you collect receipts. I reread the email Mom sent my ex-wife after the divorce. He's always been a bit much, hasn't he? So sensitive. Maybe now he'll finally grow up. The comment she made at Thanksgiving 2 years ago when I got laid off. Well, not everyone's cut out for real responsibility. Maybe take a class. The time Dad told my cousin Rachel at a barbecue that I lacked grit, while I was literally standing 6 feet away fixing their busted water heater for free. My crime? Existing without making them look good. So I posted the kitchen photos. On my Facebook, my Instagram, even LinkedIn, weirdly enough. Captioned, 1 week, thousands of dollars. My gift to the people who raised me. They responded by laughing about how pathetic I was. So I left. This is the kitchen. This is the goodbye. And I let the comments pour in. Co-workers, friends from college, old neighbors, even people who barely knew me chimed in. Some with disbelief, some with rage, some with stories of their own. Turns out, I'm not the only one who's had their love spit back in their face by people who claim to be family. By evening, my parents had called again. This time, Dad left a longer voicemail. He didn't sound angry. He sounded scared. Son, please. Your mom's been crying all day. We didn't mean it. We were just venting. You know how people say dumb things when they're tired? Then quieter. We didn't know you'd hear. Exactly. You never thought I'd hear. Because if I had, you'd have wrapped your words in compliments and fake praise. But the mask slipped. And now you're afraid of the truth with teeth. I'm not going back. I've taken a contract job out of state 6 months, maybe longer. I'll sublet my apartment, ship what I need, and be gone before the weekend ends. They can keep their granite countertops and brand new sink. They can throw a party in the kitchen I built if they want. Just know this, every time you make coffee, every time you open a drawer that doesn't stick, every time you catch the glint of that polished tile, you'll remember me, and how you buried me in pity right after I gave you everything. Edit 1. To the Redditor who asked if I still have the audio recording from the patio, yes, I do. It's saved in 3 places. I've listened to it once. Once was enough. Edit 2. Yes, Aunt Joy reached out. She offered to call them and knock some sense into them. I told her not to bother. This isn't a misunderstanding. It's a pattern. Edit 3. To the person who said I should send them an invoice. Already typed it up. Labeled every line item. But I won't send it. Let the debt hang heavy in their hearts instead. Update 2. It's been 4 weeks. I almost didn't post again. Thought I was done bleeding onto the page for strangers. Thought maybe I could just let it fade. Be one of those viral blips that disappears after people move on to the next disaster. But something happened. Something I can't keep to myself. Something that changes everything. The silence didn't last, of course. They tried new numbers. Blocked. Emails. Blocked. Letters in the mail. Ignored. Even Aunt Joy, bless her, started calling again. This time with a different tone. I think you need to talk to them, she said. Not because they deserve it, but because you need to know what this was really about. I told her I already knew. She said, no, sweetheart, you don't. Last week, I went back to their house. Not to reconcile. Not even to see them. To pick up a package. It was waiting for me at the door. A shoebox, taped shut. My name written in permanent marker across the top in my dad's handwriting. Inside, a thumb drive, a stack of old photos, and a typed note. You're right to hate us, but before you cut us out forever, watch what's on the drive. Please. I almost threw it in the trash, but I didn't. There were 3 folders on the drive. One named 2003, one named June, and one just labeled Michael. That's my name, by the way. I never said it in the original post. Felt too personal. Felt like handing over my spine. Now, whatever. You're already deep in this mess with me. Folder 1. 2003. Dozens of scanned documents. Court records. Financial papers. Hospital intake forms. I started to skim, and my stomach dropped. There were withdrawal slips. Hospital logs. A record of an overdose. But not mine. Not Dad's. My brother's. My brother who passed when I was 10. The one we never talked about. The one who, apparently, didn't just pass in his sleep like they told me. He passed in June 2003. Same week as my 5th grade graduation. The same day I remember Dad coming home with red eyes and hugging me too long. Turns out he didn't pass peacefully. He OD'd. Alone. In our basement. The 17. Mom found him. Folder 2. June. It was security footage. From their back patio. From last month. The day I heard them laughing about me. The moment that cracked my ribs from the inside. Except this version was longer. The clip didn't start where I thought it did. It started 3 minutes earlier. When Mom walked out onto the patio and Dad followed, carrying 2 drinks. They weren't laughing. They were crying. She's gone, Mom said. They just called. Stage 4. Dad nodded. We knew it was coming. But still. Then came the next words. The ones I didn't hear. You know who'll fall apart first, right? And my mom answered, Michael. He's always the one trying to fix everything. Then the sentence that broke me, the one I thought I knew. Let him waste his time. Except this time, I heard the next line. He needs it. It's how he copes. Then my dad, voice trembling, said, better that he stays busy than starts drinking again. And then, the part 1 caught out of context. Dad muttered, poor guy doesn't realize we all pity him. They weren't mocking me. They were scared for me. They were scared I'd spiral again. Folder 3. Michael. It was a video. Shot from a phone. Blurry. Handheld. My mom talking directly into the camera. If you're seeing this, we messed up. We always mess up when we try to protect you. But we couldn't tell you about your brother. Not when you were a kid. And when you got older, you stopped asking. We didn't want you carrying that grief. We've spent years trying to make sure you didn't turn into him. Every time you failed, every time you moved back home, we worried it was starting again. The pattern. You fix things because you think it keeps you safe. You built that kitchen like you were holding your life together one tile at a time. And we said awful things. Because we're scared. Of losing another son. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I said it. I'm sorry I laughed. I'm sorry we never told you why we've always kept you at arm's length. We were trying to protect what was left. She started crying then. Not dainty tears. Full body sobs. So now I sit here. With a dozen realities colliding in my chest. They weren't mocking me. They were terrified of me becoming someone I never even got to grieve. They've made awful mistakes. Their fear doesn't excuse what they said. But it does explain it. And now I don't know what to do. Do I forgive them? Do I walk away anyway? Do I mourn a brother I was never allowed to truly remember? I called Aunt Joy. Told her I saw everything. She cried. And then she said something I can't stop replaying. Your parents didn't need a new kitchen, Michael. They needed their son. They just didn't know how to ask without losing him. Edit 1. For those asking, yes. My brother's name was Daniel. He was 17. I was 10. I remember his sneakers by the door. I remember him sneaking me candy behind Mom's back. I remember the way he looked the last time I saw him alive. Tired, but trying. I'll never forget that now. Edit 2. I don't know if I'm going back. But I do know this. I'm done building things for people who can't name what they're grieving. Next time I lay tile, it's going to be in a home I choose. Not one I'm trying to fix. Update 3. It's been 3 months. The dust has settled. The grout's dried. The house still stands. But I'm not the same. Some of you asked what happened next, if I forgave them. If I went back. If we sat around that new kitchen drinking coffee and crying and putting things back together. We didn't. Because some things don't go back. They shift, crack, get patched. But they're never new again. The week after I found the files, I didn't speak to them. I walked around the city like a ghost. Rented a workspace. Built a bookshelf I didn't need. Took a week-long woodworking class in a town where no one knew me. Watched strangers laugh without thinking about the sound of my mom's voice that day. Without hearing the laugh that broke me. And when the silence finally gave way to clarity, I did what I hadn't done since I was 10. I lit a candle for my brother. Daniel. I said his name out loud. Twice. And that did something. I did call them eventually. Not to make amends. To tell them I got the package. That I saw the videos. That I knew. My dad started crying. I'd never heard him cry before. Not even at Grandpa's funeral. That made me angrier than I expected. Mom asked if I hated them. I said, no. I just don't trust you. And that was the truest thing I'd said in years. They wanted me to come over. I said I wasn't ready. Might never be. But I mailed them something. An invoice. Not for the money. Not for the hours. Just a single line item. Kitchen renovation paid in full. Cost. The last illusion I had about what love meant in this family. Attached was a photo of me, in a new apartment with a kitchen of my own. Nothing fancy, but I built the shelves myself. Picked the tile without trying to match someone else's taste. There's a coffee machine on the counter, one my mom would hate. And I love that. Aunt Joy visited 2 weeks ago. First time in years. Brought over a box of my brother's things she'd kept hidden. Inside, a sketch Daniel drew of me when I was 8. A letter he wrote but never sent. A mixtape labeled, for M. It was the first time I cried for him without guilt. Joy told me something that stuck. You've always been trying to make homes out of places that didn't know how to hold you. Maybe it's time to stop fixing broken kitchens and build one just for you. So here I am, 3 months out. Still rebuilding, but no longer out of grief, out of choice. I've started my own renovation business, solo projects. No clients trying to impress their friends. No parents hovering behind my shoulder, second-guessing my cuts. Just me, my tools, and the work. And this time, I grout the tile knowing exactly what I'm worth. Edit. For everyone asking, no, I never moved back. No, I didn't cut them off entirely. I answer their calls once a month. We talk about the weather. About Daniel sometimes. About nothing important. And that's okay. Some people are not meant to be your everything again. Just a distant porch light, flickering from a house you no longer live in. I don't want revenge. I don't want closure. I just want peace. And maybe finally I'm getting it.